Pregame.com. Welcome back. Steve Fezzik flying solo year-end power rating program. Going to give you my top 10 as we finalize the 2014 year. Super Bowl coming up. We'll be talking props. We'll be talking about what to look for. A little history of prop betting as well. But right now, let's break down the top 10 in power ratings that I have as of the end of the year. Number 10. Cincinnati Bengals. I have them 2 points better than an average team. I know that they flamed out big time in their game against Indy in the playoffs. They didn't have Gresham. They didn't have A.J. Green. They kind of got the living, beat out of them when they played Pittsburgh in that Sunday night game, and that really cost them ultimately. But Marvin Lewis, Andy Dalton, they did what the Bengals do. Make the playoffs, one and done, and they go out, they clock in number 10. Number 9, the aforementioned Pittsburgh Steelers. Got to feel that game against the Bengals where they lost their running back really hurt their chances in the playoffs. And, of course, they get bounced by Baltimore. Big Ben had a fine year. And all in all, I think under Tomlin, the Steelers were a team with a lot of potential. They really could have made a move, but done some damage in the playoffs. Just couldn't overcome that injury at the end of the year. Have them 2 points better than an average team. They come in at number 9. Moving over to the NFC, number 8, the Detroit Lions. What a group of underachieving knuckleheads. I got to say, Jim Caldwell, terrible game manager. Don't like what he does with his decisions, too conservative. However, considering Megatron was hurt for much of the year, the Lions certainly had a fine season. Stafford stepped it up, and they finally started winning these close games that they used to lose, games such as when they beat Miami at the end of the game. And so all in all, with that defensive line, as good as they were playing, Detroit Lions, number 8, with certainly some potential for improvement next year if they can only stop doing all the crazy, silly penalties, stomping on players, stuff like that. Number 8, Detroit Lions. Number 7, Indianapolis Colts. I have them 3 points better than average team. I had raised them a little bit more, but in retrospect, they're a one-man gang. Andrew Luck, he and Aaron Rodgers, the two best quarterbacks in the league, and he's just doesn't have enough of a supporting cast. The Trent Richardson trade, a fiasco. Isn't even playing. He's deactivated for the playoff games, and that ultimately really did hurt them, not having any kind of running game, although Herron's emergence certainly helped them. Really, they won that playoff game against the Bengals because of no Gresham, no A.J. Green. That's why they look so impressive. Probably still would have won. If you look at the game against Denver, they just went ahead, loaded up the box, and they dared Manning to throw deep, and he couldn't do it. And so Indy, I think, maybe a little bit overvalued based upon they really had a dream draw until they ran into the Patriots, and their season got very deflated. Number 6, Baltimore Ravens, 3 points better than average team. Can't ignore what they did going into Foxborough, giving New England in Gillette everything that they could handle. And good matchup for Baltimore. They've always played New England tough, but that was a fine effort in a game they certainly could have won. Here's a team with Flacco. Harbaugh, you could certainly see them be contending going forward. The future's still bright for that group, and they come in number 6. Number 5, I'm torn on this team, the Dallas Cowboys. I have them 4.5 points better than an average team. Perennial underachievers, 8-8 team. They made the jump. Defense still suspect. Offense great. Romo was the good Romo this year. Basic strategy says when a team goes up like that by 4 wins, that we expect them to regress severely the following year. I'm not so sure that's the case. Really seems like Dallas has a nice building blocks to improve upon things. They may well be in this top 5 come next year. We'll see, of course. 2 teams that did miss, I should mention, just barely because they missed out on their quarterbacks. Without Foles, with the Sanchez in there, Philly fell out of the top 10. They would be right on the borderline with them. And the Arizona Cards, same thing. Without Carson Palmer, they'd be a top 10 team. With them, with Stanton, they're out of the top 10. Without Stanton, they're out of the top 20 as far as I'm concerned, and really was a shell of their former selves. That leaves us with our final 4 here. Let's start out number 4, Denver Broncos with the healthy Peyton Manning, 6.5 points better than an average team. Even with the healthy Manning, he's still every week. Manning got a week older as the season progressed. I know that quad injury was a big part of it, but Denver just was not Denver. And one of the things we saw was the emergence of C.J. Anderson, more running the ball, fewer touchdown passes. You got to wonder, with Fox gone now in Denver, Manning may well not be back. This is a team that could really take a huge step back in the power ratings. They finished in the top 4. I don't expect that they'll be in the top 4 anytime going forward. So let's go ahead and go to our top 3. Green Bay Packers, number 3, with the healthy Aaron Rodgers. I have them 7 points better than an average team. And let's face it, they were the better team Sunday at Seattle. They should have won the game. They're not the better team, but they were the better team on that day. McCarthy, way too conservative. Been talking about this for years. Kicking field goals, 4th and 1, 4th and 2 in the red zone. Heck, just people say you got to take the 3 points. Well, even if you go for it and miss it, sticking the other team on their half-yard line is worth a 1.5 anyways. And I really think that play let them down. When they intercepted the pass, and they're up a score and a half, and they just fall down instead of being aggressive and running with it. That was a huge mistake. And you contrast that with Seattle playing to win, faking field goal to get their first touchdown, and then on the 2-point conversion, Russell Wilson, I give the man credit. A lot of quarterbacks thrown 4 interceptions. It's not there in that 2-point conversion. Just chuck it in the stands. He knows it's the ultimate free roll. He throws up a duck that somehow is completed. That ultimately winds up winning them the game when the game goes into overtime. Just some key philosophical differences. The more aggressive team won, and it's like no limit poker. The NFL, it's hard to stop teams right now. You want to be aggressive. So they clock in number 3. So now we got the big 2, and they are meeting in the Super Bowl. And frankly, it is a dead heat tie. I'll start out with the Seattle Seahawks being 8 points better than an average team. I had them as high as 8.5. I consistently had this team at least 5.5 points better than an average team, even when they started 3-3 and all the talk about Seattle being out of the playoffs. I always had them up there, and obviously have upgraded them. But I have to downgrade them from 8.5 down to 8 based upon that performance last week. Part of that was Russell Wilson playing very poorly in the first half. But frankly, I was shocked Rodgers had as much time as he did on several of the passes in the first half. That Legion of Boom was good, but they were not great. And we have to look back on their strength of schedule. They did not face very many premium quarterbacks. Tom Brady and company may well give them trouble in the Super Bowl. And that segues to number 1, tied for number 1. New England, they are 8 points better as well. They're not better than Seattle. I have both teams exactly equal, which is going to make it hard to pick the winner of the Super Bowl because the line, of course, right now is pick'em. And we will be talking about the Super Bowl in the upcoming video and props and the like and history of props. But I will say this about the Patriots. That window of opportunity is getting short. Quarterbacks, when they start turning 37, 38, 39, they don't get old gracefully and very slowly. They fall off the cliff sometimes. Brady's got a lot of miles on him. This could well be his last opportunity to win a Super Bowl. You know he wants this one like blood. But with Seattle equally rated and with typically the basic strategy is take the better defense, that's Seattle in this game. We'll have to do some more homework on the game, but should be a great game. And we've got number 1 facing number 1 in a pick'em game that has never happened. One's played 2. One has never played 1 as far as a dead heat on the power ratings. We've never had a pick'em in the Super Bowl before. So should be great stuff. Although I might add, it was close to that last year when Denver was a small favorite in the Super Bowl. Right at post, the money came in on Seattle, and it kind of got back to pick'em. So that when they tell you there's never been a pick'em Super Bowl, it kind of was last year at the very end. Be exciting times. That is my final 10, top 10 with some thoughts about upcoming next year. Stay with us at pregame.com. I will be breaking down Super Bowl props and some things to be looking at, preliminary props. Stay with us, pregame.tv.